Hello everybody. So I'm gonna react to Frank again. And, yeah. Let's just get straight into it, because I might start to ramble quite a lot.
What's up? How are you guys today? We are going to go over my new food pyramid ever since I quit the carnivore diet a few years ago, which, destroyed my liver the 8 years I was on it. But now that
It did not destroy your liver. You know what destroyed your liver, Fwankie? Was your Accutane. I'm not even sure if that can actually destroy liver, but what do I know? Maybe it can. And you're just making it worse, buddy. You're just making it worse by eating all these carbs.
we have a reasonable amount of experience on my
Oh, forgot. Carbs!
liver detox diet, ultimate detox diet, steak and potato protocol, whatever you want to call it, this has been working and I've been feeling excellent on it. And, we've done some day of eating.
You have not changed your diet. Like, here's what you did wrong, Fwankie. You cut out the fat. You cut out the fat. That's the last thing somebody with hemochromatosis wants to do. Cholesterol is protective. You are not eating nearly enough cholesterol. You are not. You can't get the same effects from eating fat.
Things I've showed you guys what I'm having now, but this is kind of laid it all out there, so we'll explain why I'm eating certain things, what I can eat, the frequency of eating those things, and then we'll go into cheat meals and that type of stuff towards the end. So everything in blue, the organic grains, animal protein, everything should be organic, guys. Organic vegetables.
Well, that hasn't always been proven to be effective, the whole organic thing, because sometimes it's just a ploy to get you to buy it.
Organic fruits, those should be eaten pretty much every single meal. The stuff in red, the plant fats, and the omega-3 foods might not want to have it depending on your current health status. The purpose of the grains in the diet, the starch, is to soak toxins from the liver.
That's not what it does. Starches do no such thing. How many times do I have to say this? They do no such thing. They don't soak up toxins from the liver, Fwankie. They do not. Carbs, that's all they are. And carbs destroy the liver. They destroy them, especially in the amounts that you're eating them in. Sorry, not sorry.
And feed the gut bacteria, and since they're generally very bulky, you're also giving your body some gut motility to keep things moving. Plus, they are typically the least inflammatory, voluminous food if you are sourcing them correctly, organic, and picking specific types of grains. Animal protein, you're getting your nutrients, really, for your cellular health, the amino acids, the proteins, some minerals, cholesterol, the high quality saturated fats.
No, you're not getting any saturated fats if you eat lean meat. Which he does. I know he does because he has said in plenty of videos. For those who are new and don't really know what I do here. This might just become a Fwankie Tufanus, or whatever Bart called them. This might just end up being a Frank Tufano reaction channel. He's a freaking train wreck. Ugh.
Animal protein is the bulk of the nutrition of this diet. Fibrous vegetables are adding, some more concentrated fiber, some gut motility because things like shiitake mushrooms and onions do have a decent amount of volume per calorie, and just some flavor and some variety. But the main difference between the vegetables and the grains is obviously the caloric density, and the amount of fiber that occurs in things like beans is substantially higher. The white fruits, light fruits, pears, apples, pineapple, kind of for enjoyment. In some rare circumstances, you might not want to have the fruit, but it's important to differentiate that you don't necessarily want to be drinking.
No human needs fruit. We don't need fruit. We don't need carbs. There's essential fatty acids and essential amino acids. There are no essential carbs. We're just addicted. Like you.
Juices and having dried fruits and that, compared to the actual just fresh fruits, having an apple or pear every single meal. For me, I enjoy it. It's like dessert. Very high water content, very high volume.
That's the main reason, right? You enjoy it. Enough said.
Good for gut motility. Excellent balance of fiber, carbs, and sugar.
You don't need fiber, carbs, and sugar. Carbs and sugar and fiber, they're all the same, by the way. Nice.
Sugars, which is important because your body uses different enzymes and different processes to absorb different macronutrients. So when you have a balance, your body's kind of being efficient as opposed to having to digest just a whole lot of one thing at once, like protein when you're eating 2 pounds of steak on the carnivore diet. The plant fats.
You might need the 2 pounds of steak. There's no problem eating 2 pounds of steak if your body can handle that amount. I don't eat that amount per day because of my size. I'm very small, so I can't eat that much. However, I do enjoy lots of meat. I love meat. I love fat. I love meat. I love salt in particular. Yum.
Can kind of help stimulate detox, and the body does need some fat for energy, so you might have to add a little bit, and of course you need something to cook.
It needs most energy from. It needs most of the energy sources. Most of them should be fat. You know why, Fwankie? Because if not, you crash. If you get most of your energy from fat, you're more stable.
Cook with, and then the omega-3 foods that you're having on occasion, maybe 2 times a month, 1 time a month, are for the omega-3, the slightly higher extra nutrition, but probably not needed, for at least a few months on the diet, or if you're trying to be really strict with it.
You don't need what? Let me go back here. Hang on.
Now for the important, so you might have to add a little bit, and of course you need something to cook with, and then the omega-3 foods that you're having on occasion, maybe 2 times a month, 1 time.
Why would you only have them once or twice a month? Why?
A month are for the omega-3, the slightly higher extra nutrition, but probably not needed, for at least a few months on the diet, or if you're trying to be really strict with it. Now for the important part, what specific foods am I eating, how much of them, and how frequently am I eating them? So I get a lot of questions about, what foods people should be eating. Can I eat this? Can I eat that? What diet should I be following? This is probably going to be the video that I'm going to reference now moving forward, because it's just simple. It's laid out. I can say, hey, here's my food pyramid. This is what to do now. It's not as strict as just eating the steak and potatoes, and most people will actually feel better on this. So we have white potatoes peeled, sourdough bread made with organic white flour and preferably filtered mineral water, glass bottle mineral water. We have Italian.
This is where I go. This is why I say he's a narcissist. Because he wants you eating this way. He wants you eating this way. Okay? He really does. I can't force you to be carnivore or whatever, right? I can't force you to be keto. But I also don't say I don't say this is how you need to do it in order to you must eat this way. Like the way he talks, it's like this is the only way, right? And I don't say it that way. I say it sometimes people need to do full carnivore to achieve the optimal goal of health, right? But he's making it sound like, oh, this is the only way. You're never gonna heal yourself if you don't do it this way. I hate people who say that.
Italian barley, all barley should be fine. I just like the Italian better. Steel cut oats, udon noodles made from white flour, white quinoa. So those 6 are what I've been eating.
See? These are just foods from the standard American diet. He hasn't changed a thing.
A lot of them, what I feel really good on. Having white rice once or twice a week, maybe not that bad as long as you sleep well. There is an arsenic concern. White corn is okay. Not a lot of white corn products. Like usually the tortilla chips are fried in seed oils, which you definitely don't want. But you can make your own tortillas from white corn flour.
I am glad he's at least against seed oils.
Cream of buckwheat is okay. I don't really eat it that much. It's not that high in fiber, but you can add variety for breakfast. And you want grains every single meal. And I would say between...
Yeah, you see this? You want to have grains every single meal. See this? You see this? This is not nutrition. Grains are not nutrition. They're not. You want to have meat every single meal, not grains. Meat or eggs or cheese, something. Animal protein. Because that's what human bodies thrive off of. I'm talking more facts here. This isn't about my feelings. This isn't about my opinions even. This is about biology. When I say you have to do it, when I say you have to do mostly meat, I'm talking based on human biology. It doesn't matter where you come from. It really, really, truly doesn't. Because more and more it seems that the less plants humans eat, it doesn't matter your genetics or anything, the better off they are. So, this is what you need to do in order to achieve optimal health is eat mostly meat. Mostly. Like, this isn't me talking about my fifis here.
Between 200 grams and 500 grams is acceptable depending on your body weight and your appetite and your activity.
Way too much. 200 to 500 grams. That's way too much. That's disgusting. I don't know how much carbs is in 200. Holy crap. I think even a cup of buckwheat or whatever is like friggin' 100 grams of carbs or something like that. I forget. I looked it up one time, but it was a long time ago, right? Let's see. Guys, be forewarned, you might have yours go off when I say this. I have an echo dot here, so let me just ask. Alexa, how many grams of carbs in a cup of buckwheat?
1 cup of buckwheat has 120 grams of carbohydrates.
That's a lot. And Alexa, how many grams of buckwheat is in a cup?
1 cup of buckwheat weighs about 170 grams.
200 to 500 grams of carbs, you guys. Grams of grains. Wow. And you heard that first one. Wow.
Activity level, and in freedom units and American units, that would be about half of a pound to a pound and a half of carbs per meal. I'm probably usually eating around a pound, sometimes less. So it really is the bulk of the diet. And as I said earlier, everything needs to be organic. The reason for that is because a lot of the pesticides, the agrochemicals, fungicides, insecticides, glyphosate, all the stuff they spray on the crops will inhibit your liver function to some degree. So
I'm not going to argue against that. I agree with that. But this is ridiculous, Fwankie. I really don't know. I can't get behind this at all. By the way, guys, if I start coughing in this video, I'm having some nasal drip going on. So, yeah. But, yeah, Fwankie, I can't get behind the trashing your liver with fructose either. You heard. That's not even quite 200 grams of grain. If you're going to eat 200 grams of buckwheat, that's over 120 grams of carbs. Carbs!
So some people might be able to get away with a little bit of non-organic food, but we have a video on explaining why organic is good and then going into detail about what they can and can't use. So that's very, very, very significant, especially for the grains. Not as big of a deal for the animal protein, which I have with every meal. Sometimes for breakfast, I will just have some oatmeal, but you do want to have between...
Dude, you're eating, I would say, let me see. Alexa, how many grams of carbs in a cup of oatmeal? Sorry, I didn't warn you.
1 cup of oatmeal has 27 grams of carbohydrates.
And then he has udon noodles. Let's see. Alexa, how many grams of carbs in a cup of udon noodles?
1 cup of udon noodles has 21 grams of carbohydrates.
So we've got 27, 21, so that's 48. So we have 160 grams of carbs, and that's just in the udon noodles, buckwheat, and oatmeal, right? Now, he's probably, I don't know. This is insane. I don't even think I got the whole list of things. I'm sure he's eating around 200 grams of carbs a day. And that's not to count maybe some juices that he's having and the fruit that he's having. So there's that. It's probably more like 300 grams. This is insane, Fwankie. This is awful. Your liver is suffering. I know it is.
4 to 8 ounces 120 to 220 grams of animal protein.
You need way more protein than that. Way more. And a man needs probably, if they're going to eat several meals a day, they probably need about 1 pound to 1.5 pounds a day. Okay. Or a meal, I mean. Maybe 1 pound a day. Or a meal, rather. You need way more than... Yeah, no, this is insane. No. This is bad, Fwankie.
And especially at the start, maybe try to keep it lower, or if you can tolerate more, if you're really physically active or bodybuilding, then you can increase it a little bit. Specifically, lean red meat, grass-fed.
You hear that? Lean. You know what that means, right? That means there's no fat, right? So how are you getting cholesterol and saturated fat from this? Oh, but all meat has fat and cholesterol. No. Not really. Not nearly enough as medium or regular would have.
Or organic beef are both fine. Try to keep the fat content low. If you do want to have some variety, I think iberical pork is acceptable. There's a lot of issues with chicken from an allergen perspective, so I do shy away from chicken. And you could also have lean white fish like cod or halibut. There's definitely...
We can't... Fwankie, this is actually the standard American diet. This is no modified, like, paleo or anything like that. No, this is actually the standard American diet. This is insane.
Definitely a pollution concern with those fish, but going to a restaurant, that type of stuff, you could try it. The pros of having lean white fish are that it's not as high in iron. I mean, basically has no iron because it's white fish.
Yeah, because it's not like the body actually needs iron to survive, because if not, then you will die, because I've been there. I've been on the other side. Fwankie, you don't know what anemia feels like. You literally have no idea. I dare you to stop eating the meat entirely. Actually, you know what that would probably end up doing in your case is making your hemochromatosis worse. So maybe that's not actually worse. But if you were to cut out iron and you didn't have hemochromatosis, it's a gene, right? If you had, the typical, like, normal, you would have anemia. Even you could have anemia at some point. Let's just say we took all of the iron, like, let's say, so you went for some bloodletting, right? And and then maybe they don't realize, but they took too much. Let's just say that. Let's say they took a bit too much. They check your levels and you're low. Fwankie, that is going to feel horrible. You will not like how you feel. You are going to feel so tired. Way tired than you claim to feel now. You're going to feel depressed. You're going to feel restless, possibly. You're going to get dizzy. You're going to get out of breath really fast. You are going to have heat intolerance, because at the end of my, just before I got treated in the hospital, I had that. I had intolerance. Yeah, so this is not okay, Fwankie.
Which is a lot easier on the liver. The trade-off is, you have the ocean pollution concerns. So, hey, maybe...
Not everyone has hemochromatosis, by the way. Not everyone. Fwankie, it's only you and maybe a select few, that watch your channel. But even then, you don't need to limit red meat and iron. What you need to do is up your cholesterol and fat. And keep an eye on it for a little while. And if it doesn't lower, keep an eye on it for a couple months, right? If you start to feel worse, then get your doctor to, figure out a different strategy. Or lower the iron intake, eat meats lower in iron, but you need the fat and cholesterol because it's more protective. Sorry, not sorry.
Maybe I'll try some cod for a week or two straight, but in like really, really severe liver damage or gut microbiome imbalances, the white fish might actually be a safer bet than the red meat in many cases, because your body's not absorbing that iron or digesting it that well. The gut bacteria is just going to kind of go crazy with it. Moving on to the fibrous vegetables, and I guess beans are kind of a legume, but...
You eat none, Frank. You eat none. You eat friggin' beans and maybe onion, but not even then. You've never eaten veggies. I've never seen you eat veggies. You kidding?
We're basically talking about the non-grain, non-animal protein kind of savory foods that you would have in the diet. Cannellini beans, very important. Definitely want to have the extra fiber every single day.
You see this? You see this? This is him talking solely based on feels. There's no facts, there's no biology, there's nothing mentioned here. He's just going based on weird dogma that he probably read online somewhere. This isn't based on biology. Okay? He's not basing it off what people ate for hundreds of thousands of years, before grains were even a thing.
At least 1 or 2 meals. Artichokes are good, cauliflower is excellent, white onions, shiitake mushrooms. Really just adding some more fiber, some more bulk to the diet, and you're adding some flavorings too, because eating...
Oh yeah, clog those bowels up. Been there, done that. Don't need to do that again. Sorry, I'm not jumping on this train.
Just, plain grains and meat can get pretty boring, so it's nice to throw in some onions and mushrooms here and there from time to time, and the more concentrated amount of fiber in the beans is definitely important for keeping
those bowels blocked up and giving you gas and all kinds of crap. Yeah, that's exactly what I want too, Fwankie.
The liver detoxing, especially if you're having something like sourdough bread.
How can you possibly think you're detoxing the liver doing this? You know what you're doing, Fwankie, is you're blocking nutrient absorption. So that is the only thing you're doing here. This is not good. I would never do this. I wouldn't have even done this eating the standard diet. I would have never changed over to this. I would have never even dared to try it. I'm sure I would have still felt like crap and my iron would have been no better.
Or udon noodles or white rice, the grains that don't have as much fiber, you really want to add beans to those meals. So I'll do a white bean puree dip that I can dip the bread in, that I can use as a pasta sauce on the noodles, or I'll just take a can of cannellini beans or butter beans and throw that in with the rice. So very, very important to keep the fiber intake, to keep the detox going, and keep the gut motility high, because you don't want the food sitting there. Maybe the candida overgrows, maybe you don't feel so good. But in regards to the meal timing, specifically with those grain sources that don't have that much fiber. So if you're having steel cut oats for breakfast, you don't really have to throw something in there, but like my barley stew for lunch, I'll have some whole barley, which isn't super high in fiber, but I will throw in some mushrooms, some white onions, maybe I'll have a few chunks of sourdough bread. And I do notice if the fiber content in the meal isn't that high, I don't feel as good, because the gut motility definitely slows down. So then we have light fruits. I eat mostly apples, guys, just peeled Honeycrisp apples. Maybe pears I'll have once in a blue moon. They're not usually as ripe and consistent. And pineapple I do enjoy maybe once a month, since I don't have a girlfriend, not as frequently as I need to, but...
You don't need to throw that crap in there all the time, Fwankie. We're all getting bored of it. Stop talking about whether or not you have a freaking girlfriend. No one gives one single solitary crap. No one. By the way, none of this is benefiting you in any way. Just saying, it's not.
Apple's definitely the better choice. I like it for dessert. You want to peel them, obviously go organic, as with all the other things. And you're just giving your body some sugar, because it kind of digests that separately from the other starches and the other carbohydrates.
Oh yeah, sugar, sugar, sugar. That's what we need.
So it's nice to have that in every meal, just to feed the gut bacteria a little more, keep things moving, and not lose your mind on this strict diet. So there's no real downsides to any of those foods in the context of this diet. You can pretty much eat as much as you want. I know I gave amounts for the grains and the protein, but the beans and the vegetables and stuff are kind of like whatever you want, whatever is kind of makes sense for the meal. And I'll just have one apple. You're never going to really want to eat more than one fruit on this diet. Sometimes I'll even just have half of the fruit and save the other half for the next meal. Okay, moving on to plant fats. So I cook everything in a little bit of coconut oil, which is a
See, you're not even getting any vitamin D out of this. I'm surprised that you're not super duper sick right now.
saturated fat that's minimally inflammatory, antifungal. The MCTs in the coconut oil have antimicrobial properties. So that's the main reason I'm using that. If you want to have nut butters and put some like macadamia nut butter or stuff like that in your oatmeal in the morning, if you want to have a little bit of chocolate here and there, maybe you're getting like the white chocolate cookie bars from Frankie's Free Range Foods.
This whole thing with sweetness, you gotta grow up.
We have the new quinoa crisp bar, which has a combination of several of these actually. It's really if you're trying to gain weight, you want to add more calories, or you're craving fat. Those are the scenarios where you would want to add more plant fats to your diet. The saturated fats, the meat, all that stuff can kind of stimulate the liver to release more bile as well as increase reabsorption of nutrients. So that's why we focus more on the plant fats with this diet. Yeah, so right now I'm basically putting a small amount of coconut oil in each of my meals, whether it's like 1 or 2 teaspoons in the oatmeal or in the barley stew or in the udon noodle pasta. Sometimes for breakfast I will do some nut butter in the oatmeal, but I still want to keep the fat content pretty low because
No! That's why your iron is so frigged up, Fwankie. It's because you're lowering your fat intake too much. You need to up your fat. I don't know what the heck you think you're doing here, but you're not going by biology. If you're wanting creamy, yummy texture like that, you need to up your fat. That's what that means, and that's what I have learned that it means. Okay?
the small amount of fat that naturally occurs in all of these foods, like even oats have some fat, that is typically enough to stimulate the liver detox, and you definitely don't want to exceed that. We'll talk about that in the cheat meal.
Basically what he's telling you guys, do the opposite, okay? Stop listening to this dopey, jibber jabber. Like, stop.
In a little bit. Then we have omega-3 foods. You know, maybe once every week or two when I have some fresh bread hot out of the oven, I do like having some caviar with it. Egg yolks are good too. I like go to a restaurant and have some steak tartare for an egg yolk, just to make sure I'm getting the highly available omega-3. It's not really necessary more than once or twice a month. It's not something you want to really focus on. And as I mentioned briefly earlier, for people that are in like really, really poor health circumstances, you might not want to do that at all, because caviar can be pretty high in histamine, has a pretty high salt content. Egg yolks can cause some allergic.
Yeah, he's not even going by natural instinct anymore. He's completely reading from dogma that has been disproven over and over again.
Reactions and be inflammatory to some people. So you might want to shy away from that, especially for the first month or two of this diet, as well as the plant fats. Under no circumstance are those required on this diet or needed in any meal whatsoever. You don't need them. And especially if you're eating like lean white fish, you don't need to go for the omega-3, and you don't really need to increase the plant fat intake.
If you're eating lean white fish or lean red meat, lean anything, you're not getting any omega-3s, you're not getting any omega-6s even, you're not getting any essential fatty acids, you're not even getting vitamin D, you're not getting anything. Hello? Hello? Fwankie? You sound so stupid, it's laughable. You sound so stupid.
Take outside of the minimal amount of coconut oil you would use for cooking. So hopefully this gives you guys a pretty good idea of everything I've been eating and what I do. I guess I will mention, just be careful with certain things that I warned about, like chocolate with the caffeine. Sometimes you might not sleep that well. One thing we didn't mention here is the glandulars, like the testicles, the goat testicles, sheep testicles that I eat once or twice a week for testosterone. That's definitely something important to include. I guess you would lump it up here, like having ovaries for a woman for the estrogen. That's important because when your liver's not functioning, when you're not healthy, your body's not producing the ideal amount of hormones. So
it's about getting older too, Fwankie. It's not just about liver. Not everything is about your gosh dang liver.
You definitely want to keep that in the diet consistently. And then if you do decide, to go out to a restaurant, to have a cheat meal, all that type of stuff. Like one time I put like way too much butter on the bread. I had some slightly fattier meals. I had like a steak sandwich with French fries for dinner. So every part of the meal that I was having had a pretty significant fat content. And I was pretty much on the toilet all day for the better part of the next day, because that increase in fat stimulated so much bile release. It was just...
Your gallbladder is done. You destroyed your gallbladder, Fwankie. You destroyed it. You destroyed your gallbladder already. That is what that means. It is. You have destroyed it. Wow. I can eat pork riblets And I don't have that reaction. I don't. Never did.
Is too acidic and too caustic for my digestive system. So if you do go out to eat, if you do deviate on this diet, if you do have cheat meals,
caustic, no. And not acidic unless you had like pineapple and a weird mix of other things, then I could see that.
The most dangerous thing is a high fat meal. And then
Yeah, because I'm apparently doing so horribly.
if you're eating a large volume of high fat foods, like you're having a burger or two and some French fries, you need some extra bread in there to soak it up. And just like the bun on the burger that's fried in butter, you need some like high starch content and lower.
That's the absolute worst advice you could ever give somebody. Do you want them to be 500 pounds?
Fat foods and that type of stuff. And then if you start having like super high fat desserts like cake and ice cream, it's better to err on the side of caution. If
you realize all of these things are made with canola oil, Frank. They don't care. They don't care. The restaurants just do things to make money. They don't care what this stuff's made with. It's not like it's made with butter or lard. No, they put canola oil in these things.
You're going out, you're ordering appetizers, you're having a full meal, entree, and dessert.
And a lot of it's skim milk.
Make sure at least half of the meal is, on the leaner side. It's not like super, super rich or super high in fat. Yeah, I don't want to elaborate too much on that as this video is way longer than I would have liked it to be already. But there's a lot of significant factors in this diet that I have not spoken about. Like I offhandedly mentioned the glandular therapy without going too much into it. We have some videos on that. There's things like mastic gum and probiotic water kefir that I have every single day. So, the probiotics, the supplements, the glandular stuff, the water, there's a lot of things outside of the base foods of this diet that you should be doing, that you might need to be doing to maintain your energy levels and feel good. But just the base of this, especially the blue foods, is an excellent starting point and arguably enough to kind of fix it.
You have just proven just how stupid you really are, Frankie. That's all you really did here.
Recover your health. So, as always, thank you guys for joining me.
Well. That's all I'm gonna react to. That is ridiculous. He is out of his mind. He has no mind to speak of, actually. Given the very small amount of fat he eats, he really doesn't eat very much at all. And he thinks that fat... No, the bile production is because your gallbladder, it's not used anymore. It can't anymore. Yeah. You wrecked your gallbladder. Congratulations. Congratulations, Fwankie. Congratulations. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.